Hello and welcome to Washington Exec's video series. I'm Amanda Ziadeh with Washington Exec, and with me today is Don Stroberg, CEO of OnClave. Thank you so much for joining me today, Don.
Thanks for having me, Amanda.
Of course. So, Don, I want to start by asking if you can tell us a bit about OnClave as an organization. Can you briefly share with our audience a bit about OnClave's mission and focus areas and what OnClave's unique solutions offerings are?
Sure. So Enclave is really born out of the concept that the secure communications that the intelligence community uses and the DoD to, secure their, you know, um, data rooms and the communications between them, that how could we take that technology and make it so easy to use and low cost that we can actually scale it to millions and billions of end users and devices, really. And we built that platform really from the ground up for serving what we call operational technology and IoT devices. Because so much today, we hear all the hacks that go on. The one now that everybody's focused on is those security cameras, and that that technology was really, to protect it, was really built for IT, which is to facilitate, broad communications across millions and billions of people globally. And so what they've been doing over time is just layering on solutions to that. And, what we did is took a step back and said, there's this whole slew of devices coming on, billions of these IoT and OT, like, security cameras and so on, that really weren't built for that type of communications, IT communications environment. And so we started at the ground up and worked up from there to build a platform really designed for today's environment, which is being, inundated with all these new devices in the OT and IoT realm. So that's what we focused on, is building a security network platform we call a zero trust plus network platform for those OT and IoT devices.
All right. So, set the stage for us a little bit. What are the most pressing cyber challenges that we're facing today?
Well, I think today it's really these new devices and new communication methods that are coming on to kind of the edge of today's corporate networks. We're seeing that in this case of like those cameras, for example, because those devices originally, when they were designed, and some, you look at HVACs and elevators and escalators, all those things are coming on corporate networks these days, and they were never really built for that type of environment, and they weren't really built for security. And some of them could be 20 years old, and they have as opposed to Microsoft and Apple and maybe iOS and Android operating systems, these have tens of thousands of operating systems, and they weren't really designed for that. And so there's this whole kind of sort of the edge of these networks around particularly critical infrastructure, like the utilities and government facilities and so on, where they're having to connect to networks that are kind of adjacent to them that may not be as secure as theirs. And so we're really kind of focused on solving that problem of securing those sort of edge networks where these new devices and new kind of communications patterns are really, coming to the forefront and aren't being well addressed by today's kind of IT-based methods and tools.
Gotcha. So then, how are some of Enclave solutions helping to solve these cyber challenges?
Well, some of our earliest deployments are with city governments. So, we're deploying to several cities here in Virginia to secure all of their state buildings and government buildings. We've done that in states like Oregon and others. Those are early adopters. We're working with the DoD, particularly the Naval Base in San Diego, to secure their warehouses. So they're overlaying a new 5G network and trying to bring on all these, again, new IoT devices to manage logistics and the warehouse operations. And so we're bringing our technology in to solve that. We're working with another base here in DC, Fort Belvoir, to help them secure their microgrid. So there's a good example of kind of that edge network, the net that, kind of outside the core utilities, networks, but they need to marry up to it. And so that's, again, a place where we're focused on helping them secure that environment so that, it protects the main utility grid.
All right. So as we look ahead, how do these solutions also help various industries prepare for the cyber challenges of tomorrow?
Well, I think some of those examples, hopefully they help explain some of that, whether it be, these new 5G networks that are going into, the warehouses, they're going to be going into utilities. You look at the microgrids that are coming up. So you think of wind farms and solar fields, all of those need to be secured. And they don't really need IT type communications, right? If you think about those type of communications, it was really, if you go back to it, I'm trying to facilitate communications between, myself and anyone else on the planet, right? I could send email to anyone. I can call anyone. I mean, that's the beauty of it. The problem is, it also lends itself to being, compromised. And so these OT devices really don't need that sort of communications. If you have a security camera, it's coming back, with its feed to a data center and a video management system. And that's really the only communications it has, by and large, with a few others. So it's not trying to talk to the world. It's trying to talk to a few places. So you can really simplify that model and create a clean, network topology with highly secure communications like the ones that we adopted through those, government agencies and so on. And really, now you can scale that to those 50 billion, 100 billion new devices that are going to be coming on, networks that, those networks really weren't built originally to serve, both from a communication standpoint and a security standpoint. So I think we've really architected a platform here that's really meant for kind of, like you said, where are communications going in the future? What's really coming at us in terms of a wave of these IoT devices? So we've really focused on solving that, coming problem for government and enterprise.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Don, for sharing a bit about OnClave and its place in the current and future cybersecurity marketplace. So I appreciate you being here today.
My pleasure, Amanda. Thank you for having me.